Alright, I've got my latest favorite bag of chips, and I'm gonna film a video. Whoop whoop! So I have brand new Heffy Doodle right here, which is not out yet. Probably not supposed to use it, but I'm going to and ask for forgiveness later. I love you, Leslie. Hello everyone. Today I've got some Heffy Doodle to play with, some new and old. I've got a piece of Lawn Fawn Really Rainbow 6x6 paper pack, and I'm cutting it down to 3.5 by 4 3/4. So this is the Heffy Doodle Stargazer backdrop die, and I'm using it to cut some stars in that Lawn Fawn pattern paper. So I want to have some control over where these stars are cut out, so I'm using the Heffy Doodle Memo tape to actually place my paper on the die. I'm going to run it through my Spellbinders Platinum die cutting machine, and voila! I have a background of beautiful stars. So sometimes I have a plan, but this is not one of those times, so I'm literally trying to come up with something to do. I have the Teacher's Pet stamp set by Heffy Doodle, and I'm creating a collage of students here on a piece of Neenah 110-pound cardstock. I'm using My Favorite Things Extreme Black ink, which is a Copic friendly ink, because I do plan on Copic coloring my images. I'm using that same Heffy Doodle Memo tape to create a mask for all of my little students here, including this one in the front. Now, the way masking works is you have to stamp the image that you want in the foreground, the one in the front, and you want to mask him so that he stays in the front of your collage of stamped images. So now that I have him masked, I'm going to place 2 other students to the left and the right of him, and I'm going to end up masking those as well. If you guys hear any strange noises, it's my husband working on the basement, working on my new craft room. So it's for a good cause. So if you hear strange noises, just be thankful that it's a craft room in progress. By the time you guys are seeing this, we are going to be at Creativation, and Heffy Doodle is going to be there, and they're going to have their brand new release, including the sentiment that I'm about to use illegally. So be sure to check out all of the social media at Heffy Doodle so that you can get all of the info of what's going on. I'm going to color now, so if you do not like this part, please skip ahead to 5:18:24, and then you don't have to watch me color this image. I also have a Copic color map that is over on my blog so that you can have a full list of all the markers that I've used to color this image. Like I said, I had no idea what I was really doing, so I'm kind of winging it when I go to color these things. I knew that I wanted bear colors because they are a group of bears, and whenever I color students, I tend to make them all look like they're wearing uniforms. Now, I'm a big supporter of public school systems and wearing uniforms because, I really truly believe that it will cut down on bullying, but, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. So I tend to, when I think of students, I'd like them all dressed the same so that there's no confusion. But so that's what I'm doing. I'm basically coloring the bears in different brown shades, and then they're all going to be wearing khaki pants and blue shirts, which is like, or here in Maryland where I live, that's where if your school wears uniforms, it's usually navy blue and khaki. Is it like that everywhere? I don't know. My kids, unfortunately, do not go to a public school that does the uniform thing, but I wish they did. Anyway, I'm coloring my teacher bear to have black hair. I'm still working on my hair, but so far, I don't think it looks too bad. I'm still learning, practice makes perfect, or practice makes better, I should say. So I'm trying to get a little bit more texture in my hair and things like that. So that's what I'm doing. Also, when I color bears and things like that, like their ears and their nose is pink. It's very cartoony, but that's what I like. So that's the way the image looks. I have been coloring images that way since I was a kid and using crayons, so I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. Here are my beautiful group of kids. Now I'm taking a piece of Strathmore Bristol Smooth White cardstock and some Ranger ink blending tools. This is Distress Oxide in Twisted Citron and Stormy Sky. I'm just trying to do a generous coat of ink on the top and bottom. My idea is to ink blend a fair amount of ink, and then do some water spritzing on the ink, and then use that as the background of those stars. So I use that diaper. That's a diaper, an unused diaper, I promise. I was not cool enough to use those kind of diapers with Dexter, but they make excellent rags for in my craft room. So I'm just going back and forth with the Stormy Sky and the Twisted Citron. I'm not really concerned about it blending in the middle so much. This is my color cubby, and we're going to first spray water with my awesome new water bottle that looks like Jack Daniels. And this water bottle is probably not what I want to use in the future because it puts out a lot of water. It's quite large. It's also activated some of the watercolors I used on a previous card, and I don't want those on my card panel now. I've also spritzed it with Hero Art's White Iridescent Shimmer Spritz and some Sukaneko Shimmer Spritz that I'm running out of, sadly. So this is a piece of Stampin' Up's Poppy Parade, and the sentiment that I was referring to, and it says, "You will always be a hero in my eyes." And it's just so perfect. I just had to use it. I'm using Ranger white embossing powder and some Nuvo Clear Mark embossing ink to heat emboss this sentiment. Like always, I'm going to pull down my Sizzix Sidekick and use my Heffy Doodle strips of ease to cut out my sentiment. This, I've been leaning towards the middle. This is the middle size. There's one smaller and there's one larger. But this size is really what I'm enjoying lately. So I've been cutting most of my sentiments from this size. But the Sidekick is small enough that that long die is more controlled with the smaller die cutting machine, and so that's why I like to pull it down for that. So I'm making another Bristol Smooth White cardstock with Stormy Sky so that I can cut out the teacher sentiment. Now you have to be very careful when you wet the Strathmore Bristol Smooth because it's not watercolor paper, so I was very careful not to oversaturate my paper, but it did warp slightly. The water bottle also that I used was pumping out a lot of water, so I don't know. I like the way it turned out though, so that's cool. So I'm using the teacher word die by Heffy Doodle, and I love the way that T kind of connects to the H. It's just a very beautiful font. And I'm going to cut that out three times from the Poppy Parade, and then once from the blue that I just ink blended, because I'm going to layer them together and create my word die. My idea is to kind of slightly offset it, so we'll see if that works out. Usually my word dies are already offset because, you know, I'm usually crooked and offset. But this one was actually intentional. So I'm using my pokey tool to remove all of the dies or the words from the paper and all of the negative pieces, and those all just go in the trash. So I'm going to use a Sticks to Anything 2-in-1 glue pen, and now I'm confused at why it says 2-in-1. I'll have to investigate that. Maybe I'm missing out on something. Anyway, it has a pen-like tip so that I can get really small dots, and so far it has really good adhesive properties, so not too bad. I'm using an acrylic block to let it dry in between each layer, and now I'm trying to slightly offset the blue piece from the red piece. Whenever I think of a hero, I think of Superman, which is blue and red. Hence the color scheme for today's card. So I'm now cutting this ink blended background down to 3.5 by 4 3/4 so that it fits nicely behind my star panel. And I'm using Scotch 3M foam tape to pop that up. I used a generous amount of foam tape to pop that up. I like to check and make sure that things are secure. And then I hold it upright so that I can line things up to the best of my ability. And then I'm going to take scrapbook.com double-sided adhesive and adhere that to the back of this panel and to my Simon Says Stamp Fog card base, which is a top folding A2 size card base. I've also got foam tape on my cluster of images and also the sentiment. So something fun I've been playing with recently is Tombow Extreme Tab Clear Adhesive. This is what I'm using now, and it has brown paper on it. It's not brown, it's completely clear, and I'm using it to pop up the teacher word die. And people, you cannot see this stuff, okay? Like, if you're looking for it, maybe you can, but if you look at my card, you cannot see that there's adhesive there, and that's pretty cool. So I'm popping that up, and it's actually kind of fitting around the cluster of images, which I think is pretty cool. That's my card for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.
Are you clearing your throat at me?
What?
I don't know. Wasn't sure if you were trying to get my attention.
No, I know how to get your attention. Find me and find Heffy Doodle on social media. I love interacting with you all. Next up is some family vlogs.
Use that finger at first. Use that finger on your left hand to keep that arrow stable. Then draw, move the finger. Huh?
My arm's starting to get tired.
You gotta build these muscles, you've never used them before.
Start recording early. It might just be 10 minutes of me trying to get the arrow off, so there we go.
That was a good shot. Hold the bow with your left hand. Like this. Close. Load the next one.
I'm gonna write my name on this tiny when I'm done.
Yeah?
And dry this off.
Thanks.